Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Archie's Briefings. I'm your host, Archelle Branch. And before we get started, I just want to say a few things before I talk about the topic of what the episode is going to be about today. I do want to apologize for being, well, to be honest, AWOL with you guys. I do try to be as consistent as I possibly can. And the reason why I have been off recording my episodes is because I've actually been working in my brother's cigar lounge. As you can see, we are recording from the new background, the new setup from the Kingdom Cigar Lounge by my brother. And I've also been working as a producer. I've just started producing a podcast called Two Voices, One Punchline. You guys should subscribe to the channel just because I am the one who's producing it. Working on the editing. Editing is not my strong suit. Producing is really my thing, but the hosts are very happy with that. And you should definitely subscribe to that channel. I did just have one of the hosts on the episode yesterday. So that's exactly what's happened. I've been working and getting busy with the work. And so it's been taking me away from the podcast. And I do want to apologize to you guys because you guys mean the world to me. I love doing this. I love doing the show. So you guys can go ahead. I know this is going to sound weird, but you can support the show by subscribing to the channel if you already haven't. You can also hit the notification bell so that way you never miss an episode. You can support the channel by heading over to Cash App. The description to my Cash App is going to be in the description box on the top of my YouTube channel. So you can hashtag Archelle Branch if you are interested in supporting the show financially, that is. And you can also support the show just by subscribing, and that's good. So today, you guys, we are going to be talking about what's been going on as it relates to these hurricanes, because I tell you, the more and more I watch these stories and the more information that comes out about what's been going on with our federal government and how they've been handling the disaster that is natural, that is a natural disaster, that is, the more infuriated I get. So we are going to talk about FEMA, what's going on with those funds, and how that relates to the rest of the United States that hasn't really suffered from that, but from the hurricane, that is. And what's going on with the money? Because really, that's a big question. So let's go ahead and let's talk about that.
There is something that has been on my heart that I did want to discuss. Discipline is a huge part of being productive, being lucrative. I am not for anything that goes against true productivity, true sovereignty of the individual. The choices that we make are what's going to be up for judgment.
So you guys know how I feel about Matthew Torrance. I think he's incredibly talented. He did a wonderful job with my opening score. I asked him, can you give me something that sounds like this style of music? He knows I like rock. Once I told him, and then he gave me and delivered exactly what I was looking for. And I'm incredibly grateful. He can add audio to it as it relates to your voice. If you're someone like myself who's trying to do a podcast, if you are someone who's just interested in making actual music because you're a musician, you're good with the lyrics, but you're not good with the actual music itself, reach out to Matthew Torrance on scoresandmusic.com. He is fantastic. He did wonders for me. He will do the same for you. Okay, you guys. So as I said in the opening, today we are going to be talking about what's going on with these hurricanes, what's going on with FEMA. And of course, we've all seen the reactions. It's been a while. A lot of people are talking about what's going on here. And I just need to do an episode. I was contemplating whether or not I should be talking specifically about the work that I'm doing, or should I speak about what's going on as relates to these hurricanes. And it came on my heart. I had to speak about it because the more and more I see what's going on with the American people who are suffering in those hot spots of the hurricane, the more infuriated I get. I don't understand. How is it? Well, no, that's wrong. It's not that I don't understand. I do understand. Our federal government does not care about the American people. It's just quite obvious to me. They don't care. They do not care. Now, you may have a few individuals, I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. You could be a Democrat, you could be a Republican, you could even be a socialist, right? I think Jill Stein is wondering, where the hell is all the money that should be going to the American people who are actually suffering? And it just doesn't make any real sense to me that they haven't come to the conclusion that you should be giving the funding to these citizens who are actually suffering. But this shouldn't surprise us, right? Because when you look at what happened when the volcano erupted in Hawaii, where were the funds? You had The Rock and you had Oprah Winfrey saying, donate, donate. Mind you, you had a billionaire and a millionaire doing a video trying to encourage people to donate money during inflation to help the citizens in Hawaii who were struggling because of a volcano eruption. Then you had what happened in East Palestine, Ohio, which was a man-made disaster, 100% avoidable. And what did they do? Where did the funds go? Joe Biden didn't go until weeks after Donald Trump went, weeks after Tulsi Gabbard went, which is when that conversation of whether or not Tulsi Gabbard should be the VP started to really come up even more so, right? I mean, come on. The federal government is clear. They are making the American people last. And so one of the accusations being made of FEMA today, and has been the case since the hurricane hit, is where's all the money? We're making the assumption, I would say, as the American people, that the money went to the illegals, or it possibly went to Russia and Ukraine conflict, right? Or it went to Israel for their conflict. It's going everywhere but to the American people. We're sending money to the Ukrainians for the Russia versus Ukraine. We're sending money to Israel because Israel's fighting the terrorists over in the Middle East. We're sending money and giving money to the illegals here in the United States, which a lot of the American people are beginning to wonder, is it possible that you're giving them all this money so that way you've secured your vote? This is not new, a new tactic for the federal government. We obviously know this with the Great Society Act. If you give the people all this money, the good chance they're going to vote for that party that gave them all this money. That's kind of the idea. I'm going to vote for the party that gives me all the money. And if the Democrats are the ones that are giving me all the money, then that's the party that I'm going to vote for. And it's quite obvious to me, and I think to a lot of conservatives, that that's exactly what has happened. Because now when a natural disaster occurs, not man-made, natural disaster occurs, there's no money available. And so whose fault is that? It's certainly not the American people's. It's certainly not because of our mismanagement of the funds why there's no money available for the American people who are suffering. You've been giving billions of dollars to the illegals. I mean, let's just talk about the ones that are here, right? Let's talk about the money that we're sending to non-citizens here in the United States. Natural disasters occur. The left are easily going to say this is because of climate change. As a person of faith who believes we are in them days, I just kind of think that's part of the point. I think natural disasters are a part of the end. If you're someone like myself and you're part of faith, you believe in those things, then you're probably saying the same thing to yourself. There's not a number you could count on from taxpayers that's going to stop divine intervention. There were no amount of tax dollars that was going to stop the flood. Okay. Noah just had to build the ark. And I think that we're in a similar time here. I think we're in the end. I think that's the time that we're in right now. That's the conversation that is being had by a lot of people of faith right now, and why they think it's time to get right with the Lord. And I look at what's going on with FEMA and these natural disasters, and as bad as things are getting, I do think that though we may not be able to stop that, which is an inevitable, the end that is, we can make it less horrible, maybe, right? Maybe that's something that we can do. And those funds being made available to those citizens who have lost their homes, some of which have lost family members, I do think that it's important. But now we do have to talk about the fact that there has been a report. I'm just going to show the clip for you guys. I don't know how much truth is into this, considering it is coming from the mainstream media, but it does beg the question, if there's any truth to this clip here, then where did the money actually go? So the clip that I'm about to show you guys is about to expose the fact, maybe I'll say allegedly, that FEMA does in fact have money. They have money. They're saying they're broke, and we made the assumption that the reason why they're broke is because of illegals. So let's go ahead. Let's run that clip before I go any further into what my full thought on this issue actually is. Let's go ahead and let's run that, shall we?
Well, despite FEMA warning last week that its disaster funding is running low, a report found billions of dollars at their disposal. The Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security released a report here in August that found the agency has $7 billion in remaining funding that could be used for natural disasters. The Biden-Harris administration has said Congress only allocated certain funding for FEMA to use for disasters. But
So what the heck does that even mean? Look at that number, you guys. $7 billion. That's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. They've been giving billions and billions of dollars to everyone else. So why aren't you giving this remaining $7 billion that you have? I don't care if FEMA goes broke trying to help the American people, okay? At the very least, you can say, well, we ran out of money, but we at least ran out of money trying to help the Americans. But that's not what happened here. We're suggesting that somehow that FEMA has been giving money to illegals. That's the assumption that a lot of the American people are making. Okay, you're giving them money to buy houses. You're giving them money to build businesses and to buy businesses. You're giving them money so that way you can secure the vote for the Democrats. That is the assumption that we're making. Now, this is a question of whether or not you're actually broke. And now we've got a report saying that there are $7 billion of unused funds for FEMA. That's a big number. Look at that number, you guys. Funding that could be used for natural disasters. Okay, so the other funding went into man-made disasters, but come on, it's avoidable. It's like if you get in the car drunk, don't be surprised that you hit somebody and that you killed somebody. But this was 100% avoidable if you never got into the car drunk. This migrant issue, this illegal invasion that we're dealing with here, 100% avoidable. But because of Kamala Harris, who was the deciding vote into making sure that that border was open, has actually manufactured this crisis that FEMA put money into. How many policies were passed by this administration that said we are going to be funding illegals? Or did you not pass policies at all and you had FEMA cover those illegals? Because the fact that you're saying you're broke and now we're finding that there's $7 billion that's unused funds, right? I have a couple of questions about that. Now, I've had conversations with people about what's going on with this money here. Some people are saying that they believe that the $7 billion was meant to be pocketed. They believe that this money was meant to be pocketed. That's what they think. And can you even say that that's wrong? I mean, look at that number, people. $7 billion. This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous to me. $7 billion. You're going to sit here and you're going to say to me that the reason why the American people who are struggling from this hurricane and another one on the way about to hit Florida, that you're telling me that there's no funds that are available and now there's $7 billion. It's just unused for natural disasters specifically. So why haven't you sent the money to them? Is it wrong for me to suggest stand down orders when this is something that has been consistent with the government and with local law enforcement? Stand down orders is a part of our everyday society now. It's a part of our lives. Tragedies happen that are 100% avoidable, and the ones that aren't man-made are ones that you're supposed to just be able to brace for impact and help those who are in need the most. And now there's $7 billion that FEMA has, and they have not given any of those funds to those who are actually in need. So you guys, before I play this clip, I just want to let you know, I couldn't personally find any of the clips that having to go to TikTok, and I'm still suspicious of TikTok. I don't care if they sold it to an American. I'm a little suspicious before I actually download that software to my phone or to my computer. So I'm actually going to play the clip off of Anton Daniels because he was willing to show these videos on his show. I don't know how we got them. I'm having a hard time. I was having such a hard time finding these videos. It was as if YouTube and Google were working to protect the image of FEMA and the federal government. So I'm going to play a video of Anton Daniels actually watching a video of someone who was denied the funds during this hurricane. So let's go ahead and let's run that clip, shall we?
I just want everyone to know that we are displaced due to Hurricane Helene from Western North Carolina. We cannot go home. We have no power, no food, no water, no nothing. We are spending $400 a night on a hotel due to price gouging in the surrounding areas because they know that people have nowhere to go. We applied for FEMA. Myself and my sister applied. My sister applied first. She got denied. I said, okay, let me try. I applied.
First of all, this is ridiculous. $400 a night at a hotel. And she's saying it's because they're price gouging, because obviously they know there's nowhere else for them to go. You have to come here. And so because you have to come here, we now have to increase the prices to slow. I'm assuming one could say it's price gouging. It's, I don't know if she's suggesting it's because they're being a-holes about it, but it's quite possible that because this may be the only hotel available closest to where they live, that they have to increase the prices to slow how many people are taking up the rooms. That's something that could be happening here. So, I do want to, just put that out there just in case. I don't want to say it's because they're just being a-holes about it. It could be because obviously a lot of people have been displaced from their homes, and to slow down how many people are taking up the room so fast, this might be what's happening here. But the fact that she and her sister said first that she was struggling to get any funds from FEMA. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna run this clip even more. Let her finish.
We got denied. So we have both been denied FEMA assistance. So everyone's saying FEMA is helping $750. And by the way, that $750 wouldn't even cover 2 nights at this hotel. So I just want everyone to know that FEMA sucks and president's doing nothing and we are stuck here. I am blowing through all my savings in a hotel to escape a natural disaster. So fuck you, FEMA.
So there's that, right? There's that. F you, FEMA. $750 when the hotel costs more than $400 for 2 days. Come on. For 2 days, $400 a night and you're giving me $750. Like, that's going to do anything. It doesn't give me it doesn't even give me a week at that hotel. That's this girl's reaction. FEMA. And this is for natural disasters. Natural disasters. How many times are we going to just let this happen as Americans? I mean, come on. I've spoken to so many people, and I hate to bring it back to politics. The thing is, this is not even so much about politics. This is about just understanding what's going on when it comes to this government. If you are a person of faith and you're looking at what's going on, you think about what's going on with our money and the monetary system that we are in, there's no way you can look at the history of our money. There's no way you can look at this administration and say to yourself that these people care about the American people. Because if you're just like that young girl who's survived a hurricane, a natural disaster, could you honestly tell me that you feel comfortable with voting for the woman who says you'll get $750, knowing full well that that's not going to cut it, knowing full well that the majority of the money went to the illegals? And that's $7 billion that they're not trying to use it on. Is it possible the reason why you're not using it is because you want to save it for the next natural disaster? Or are you trying to pocket it yourself? Is this more money you're trying to give to the illegals? When you don't trust your institutions, there are way too many questions that we could be asking about corruption, because that's essentially what we're at today. That when it comes to disasters that are natural and not man-made, there should be funds readily available to use to help the American people. You are not going to bring back the life lost, but you might be able to salvage the loss of their homes and the valuables that they had. It may not be the totality of what their net worth was after they've lost their businesses, their homes, but it might, to some degree, make them a percentage whole again. At the very least, help them get back up on their feet. But that's not what they've done. They've prioritized war. They've prioritized an invasion of our own nation. They've prioritized illegals. They've prioritized giving money to those who are not American citizens. The left want to talk to us about murdering babies. The left want to talk to us about climate change rather than focus on the highly likely possibility that our federal government is putting the American people last, on the highly likely probability that our federal government does not care about helping those who are suffering the most. You cannot tell me that after this hurricane that you have not come to the same conclusions. Get into the comment sections and tell me if you are someone who is still considering voting for Kamala Harris. We're not talking about her genealogy. We're not talking about whether or not this woman is Black or Indian. We're not talking about the fact that she has no children and that she's a stepmom. We're not talking about her failures in her interviews. We're not talking about the rigged debate that she had against President Trump. We're not talking about her cackling laugh, which is horrendous. We are talking about the fact that because of that woman's middle tiebreaker vote, illegals were allowed to come into this country, invade our nation, where billions were made available to the illegals. We're not even talking about the money made available for war. That is normal for this government. That is normal for this country. I love the American people. It's our federal government that bothers me. And the more and more I learn about the history of the abdication of responsibility from our federal government to the bankers, to the globalists, the more you realize they don't care about the American people. They never have. Our money, it is a tool to fund wars, to increase their power. Now, we obviously need it. We need this money. Obviously, the people of this hurricane need this money. They need the aid, obviously. Where is it? There's $7 billion of it. Why is it not being given to the people of the hurricane who suffered from this hurricane? This young girl should not be coming out of her savings. And you guys know me. I like talking about money. I like talking about young Americans. The fact that she's a young American with savings at all is an amazing thing. And she can afford $400 a night coming from her savings. If she's coming from her savings, number one, she can't afford it. The fact that she has $400 a day for however long she's been there says to me that she definitely saved up a nice chunk of change. That money should be going to a house. That money should be going towards a mutual fund. That money should be going towards investment capital for a business you may want to buy or build. That money should be going somewhere that is actually going to be making her productive and lucrative in society. Instead, it's going into surviving a natural disaster that this country makes available to help those who are suffering from a natural disaster. The fact that this young woman had money saved at all is an incredible thing, because this is what we talk about on this channel. We talk about money, we talk about saving, we talk about budgeting, we talk about doing those things. I'm a big fan of Dave Ramsey, and he would be incredibly proud of her for saving a nest egg. That money should be going towards her future. Instead, it's going to her immediate present because she's a survivor of a hurricane. Where's FEMA? I'm going to show you guys one more video because I found it quite astounding that they didn't want to. They're saying that the reason why there's no money available or for other reasons, not because of the migrant, but you just got to listen to how they say it, because I feel like they're trying really hard. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to run that clip for you guys. Let's go ahead and let's run it, shall we?
FEMA is asking Congress for more money to get through hurricane season, but some say the agency would have had plenty if it didn't spend so much helping undocumented migrants. Brandon Lewis from our Verify team went to the border to find out more.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the government's response to Hurricane Helene is stretching FEMA's budget, and it doesn't have enough to make it through hurricane season. Many people and politicians on social responded by claiming the real reason FEMA is running out of money is because it spent $1 billion housing people who are entering the U.S. illegally.
Hello. Okay. So assumptions, but I mean, I got to rewind. Listen to what this guy said. Like, right? He said that I'm going to let him say.
Helping undocumented migrants. Brandon Lewis from our Verify team went to the border to find out more.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the government's response to Hurricane Helene is stretching FEMA's budget, and it doesn't have enough to make it through hurricane season. Many people and politicians on social responded by claiming the real reason FEMA is running out of money is because it spent $1 billion housing people who are entering the U.S. illegally. Multiple Verify viewers asked us if that's really the reason FEMA is running out.
Because what else is supposed to be? I mean, you could easily say that the money was being pocketed. You could say that the money was being given to people across the globe and not here in the United States. You know, the fact of the matter is the money's not making to the American people. When you're talking about an institution that has been lying to its citizens for what we know to be true, at least during this administration, every day since they have been in the White House, every day since Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have been in power, what do we know? That they've been lying to us. They lied when they said Joe Biden was fine. They lied when they said that they weren't responsible for this border crisis. Donald Trump was. They lie when they say that the economy was doing dismally after Trump got out of office. We know these things are lies. We know they are. And that's the point, right? You're not going to convince me that the money is there enough to help the American people when you've been saying you're broke, but now we're finding there's $7 billion. Which is it? You're either broke or there's $7 billion. So either way, you're found out to be a liar here. So why am I wrong for assuming that the money didn't go to the illegals when we know for a fact that you've been housing them? We know for a fact that you've been giving billions of dollars across the many illegals that have been coming into this country for houses, for businesses. We know this. You've been lying to us about this crisis. You've been about the migrant crisis. You've been lying to us about the money. You've been lying to us about what's actually supposed to help the American people. They've been lying to us. Now, this isn't news that the federal government lies to the American people. I think you can find that in any administration. I think you can even find the lies even in the Trump administration. Paul Ryan being a key indicator as to what lies are. The neocons that were in his administration, these are big deals. They'll tell us one thing and they mean something totally different. It is not a shocker when the federal government lies to its citizens. It's not a shocker at all when a government lies to its people. And so what am I supposed to believe? Read that. Is FEMA running out of disaster relief funding because it spent the money on how to house people who entered the U.S. illegally? And if you're going to tell me no, I need real proof. Don't just say, no, it's not because of illegals. Okay, then what? And don't think that you just can't give me an answer. I need an answer. But this is the problem that we're getting at, you guys. This is the problem. That this government, whether you're talking about this administration, Trump's administration, the federal government has a chip on their shoulder, one could say. They just don't want to tell the truth. They don't like telling the truth. And I think that's something that we really need to deal with here. Why is it that it's so easy for them to lie? Why is it that the money that we all use, the money that should be utilizing to helping each other, to helping our country, grow our country, innovate the ideas that's going to make this country better, whether you're talking about energy because you're worried about climate change, right? If you're that person, okay, then let's get the money towards nuclear power. Okay, let's do something about that. So that way we could wean ourselves off of fossil fuels. How about we put the money towards an education that's actually going to educate kids? Because maybe they don't know how to read, they don't know how to write cursive, they can't do math, they can't count their money, but they cussing up a storm. They watching all these different television shows, or watching YouTube. Maybe we should be putting money to actual good use. Maybe we should be looking for a Congress that's going to be better with the spending. FEMA is asking for more money from Congress, from the taxpayers, to help those who are in absolute need because of a natural disaster. Had absolutely nothing to do with mankind. But the disasters created by man, created by, one could say a woman at this point, created by humans, there's billions of dollars going to wars across the globe, which never would have happened if Trump were in office. And this isn't so much about saying why Kamala sucks and Trump is better for office. I think we know from my channel, you know that I think that is the case, that is obviously true. But when it comes to doing what's best for the American people, this money should be made available. There is no doubt in my mind. This money should be made available to the Americans. Money should not be going to wars that are not about protecting the American people. $7 billion for what? To be pocketed or to be given to illegals, not to the American people. That's quite obvious to me, going based off of these 3.5, almost 4 years of Biden and Kamala. Man-made disasters, people don't get the relief. The illegals do. Natural disasters, the American people don't get the relief. The money gets pocketed because it's quite obvious. Money was found and they were not trying to use it for the American people. There's something to be said about that. There shouldn't be a doubt in your mind about who you should be voting for come 2024's November election. I think we know very well that if Trump were in office, money would have been made available, more than $750. We made more money available to a cold virus with a stimulus check than those who've just lost their homes, their businesses, and loved ones to this. There was no reason why that young woman should be spending $400 out of her savings every day for a hotel. There was no reason why. When it's already hard enough to encourage young people to save in the first place because they want to be YOLO all day, this young girl was doing it right, and she's got to come out of her savings to pay for a hotel because FEMA doesn't believe that she meets the requirements to get that tiny ass $750. What country are we living in that is okay? Come on. You vote for Kamala Harris. You're selfish. You don't vote for either of them, it's because you don't want to hurt anybody else. You vote for President Trump, it's because you think it's going to help. Not just myself, but others as well. And who knows, I could be misguided. Some people say it's because I'm misguided. I'm not voting for Trump because I think he's going to help me. I'm voting for Trump because I know he might be able to put an end to the conflicts that are causing us problems, like what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, like what's going on with Israel and the Middle East. I know that he's going to be able to make sure that those who suffer from natural or man-made disasters get what they need, that he might actually do something about allowing pro-lifers to save babies. I'm voting for Trump because I want to help other people, because I can help myself. I have myself and my family and my God. But I'd like to be able to help those who may not believe in Jesus. I would like to be able to help those who need the help. And by voting for Trump, I think I might be in a position to do that. You vote for Kamala, it's not because you want to save the planet. It's not because you want to save the world. It's not because you want to make life better for everybody. It's because you're selfish, because she's a woman, because she might be Black. You're selfish. You're not even stupid. Voting based on identity is not stupidity. It's just selfishness. And this time I have the courage to say it because I'm tired of finding stories all over social media of the people who are dying and the people who are losing their savings, the elderly who are losing their savings and their retirement fund to stay at hotels because FEMA is running out of money when there's $7 billion not being given to them. How many more people have to suffer because of this? How many more people have to lose money, their lives, their loved ones, their homes, their businesses without getting any kind of reallocations back? It's a problem for me. You guys go ahead and get in the comment section to let me know what you think. And if you have any other information about what's going on with this hurricane and the potential hurricane that's coming, please let me know what you think about this, because I'm sad about it. I'm heartbroken by it. I have real empathy for that young woman who was spending her savings because she survived. She's being punished financially because she survived. It's morbid. Like I said, you guys let me know what you think. Go ahead and get in the comment sections. God bless those who do right by their families, by their communities, by their fellow American. And our heart goes out to those who have suffered during this time. God bless you all. Thank you all for watching, and try to have a good night. Kepla.